I'm joined by world-famous artist and musician Common, who's won an Oscar, an Emmy, and is a 20-time Grammy nominee, including winning Grammys for his work with Erykah Badu and John Legend, including for the song for the movie Selma. And you may know him from his impact on everything from music to movies to policy and politics.
Reminding us all once more of the glory of music. Ladies and gentlemen, John Legend and Common.
The movement is a rhythm to us. Freedom is like religion to us.
She talked to me. You don't be talking to me. I talked. She asked me how I'm doing. She asked what's going on. Where you at?
There was a poetry reading at the White House. Progressive rapper Common, who was the subject of Fox News Channel's latest exercise in fits of hissy, he performed.
He always wins. Everything we do together, he wins. If he didn't win, I would be surprised.
And Common's new memoir is Let Love Have the Last Word. You once said if rap was Harlem, you'd be James Baldwin.
Yes.
And you must have meant that you're an author now.
Wow, man. I mean, I'm not authoring at that level, I'll say that, but I am very grateful and inspired that this book is out and that I was able to tell a lot of my truth or write a lot about my journey to love better and love in a greater way for myself, for my loved ones around me, for strangers, for the world. And I think it's something that in my life I want to, from my experiences, be able to tell my experiences so that it can help others.
One of the experiences is you explain you had something that happened to you that you think you repressed, and then it came back to you. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so one part of the book that I talk about being molested as a kid, when I was around the age of 9, it's almost like one of those memories I don't know exactly every, like pinpoint every detail of, but I do remember what happened. And it was something that I didn't actually even think about or talk about, or I had tucked it away in my memories for such a long time until I was doing a film called The Tale that was dealing with sexual abuse. And I was like in a scene with Laura Dern, and we were talking in between scenes, and I was like, wait, I think this happened to me. And it hit me at that moment.
So you're on a movie set acting.
Yes.
And that took you into your own emotions to say, wait, I actually went through this and I haven't thought about that in how long?
I hadn't thought about it since it happened. It was like one of those things I had forgotten. And I think that human beings, we deal with things in different ways. And I would like to say it's people that are survivors that have been through a lot more difficult situations than mine. And they have to allow themselves the time that it takes to go through their process. And I have compassion for them. For myself, my experience has been about like me tucking it away and now having to deal with it in a way that's like, how can I forgive and move forward? How do I, when I talk about this, also do it from a place that is like, man, this is for other people's healing too. Like, this ain't just about me. The greatest purpose of it is like, okay, if I'm telling my story, I believe that someone will relate to it. Somebody might be going through a similar trauma and say, man, I can talk about this now. Because me talking about it has helped me.
Right.
And I feel as an artist, as somebody who is in the public eye, we always show how great, like we like, yo, okay, you won an Oscar, you got these Grammys, you do, but we also have to, I feel like it's my duty to show my flaws too, or show my fears.
And that you're struggling with certain things.
Yes.
Even as you have this other acclaim.
Exactly.
Someone who doesn't have as much acclaim as you, I think it's fair to say, is the current president.
Yeah.
You might be more popular than him. And when you get up on an awards stage and you mess with him, that bothers him.
Yeah.
We're going to take a quick look at some of that.
A president that chose with hate, he don't control our fate because God is great. When they go low, we stay in the heights. I stand for peace, love, and women's rights.
Why was it important for you to say that?
Well, it was important for me to say that because I feel like I'm a voice for a lot of human beings across our country. A lot of human beings that are being overlooked, a lot of human beings that are being ostracized and felt like they should be less than because of either color or religion or or whatever their sexual like choice, like if they may be from the LGBTQIA community, like it's a lot of like just pushing people aside and away, and I need to speak up. I'm a person that I have to speak up if I see any injustice or somebody being treated less than. Well, a whole society is being treated less than, and I just decided I needed to speak up.
Did you think he's going to hear about this?
I mean, it was the Oscars. I felt that, you know, like, yeah, he's going to hear about this, and I was ready for whatever he wanted to deliver. Is cool, but I'm not. But
that's not your purpose.
Yeah,
but
no.
Do you know why, or have a theory why he seems so bothered by these things? I mean, he responded to Jay-Z during the campaign. Everyone knows who follows this. The right wing attacked President Obama when you were at the White House for art, for poetry. Yeah. The president's responded to other celebrities. What is it about this cultural power that gets this reaction?
I think for probably the president now, I think a lot of that seems to be ego, you know, or wanting to be liked.
So we talked about the book, we talked some politics.
Yeah.
Can we talk some music?
Yes, sir.
You did a very controversial song with Lauryn Hill.
Yeah.
And in it, you and she, in the song, discuss an abortion.
Abortion, yeah.
And you have the line, $315 ain't worth your soul.
Yeah.
You say, knowing you're the best part of life, do I have the right to take yours?
Yeah.
What was that song about? What does that mean to you?
That song was very personal because at that point in my life, me and my partner had an abortion, and it was heavy. You know, I got asked a lot of questions about how do I feel? Should somebody be able to have an abortion, or should someone have, should we allow that? I remember having those discussions, but one of the great discussions I had was a person who was a fan, came up to me after the show and was like, man, Common, that song, Retrospect for Life, it made me have my child instead of having an abortion. It made that person,
their life.
It changed their life, essentially. It was able to bring a life in the world, essentially, instead of that person deciding to have an abortion. So I felt like that was actually a thing that really helped make me realize that music is really powerful and can change lives and can really help shape things. It made me want to use the microphone for a higher purpose, for better reasons.
That's amazing to have someone, whatever the decision is, come and tell you that. And that, I mean, we know music shapes the way people look at the world.
Yeah.
Before I let you get off this roof,
I love this roof, man.
Let's finish a few sentences, if you will, since you are a poet.
Yeah.
Hip hop scares some people because
it's the voice of Black and Latino youth that they haven't been in proximity of. They haven't been proximate with them, so they don't understand or don't choose to try to understand.
In 50 years, people will say hip hop
has been an amazing outlet for us to understand where America was in the most pure way that these voices showed us.
And Common has a lot of careers, but if you picked one, it would be
a hip hop artist.
To the end.
To the end.
I really appreciate you coming on the beat.
Yeah, thank you, brother. Thank you.
Thanks
for
Common.
having me. Yeah.
Hey, I'm Ari Melber from MSNBC. You can see more of our videos right here, or better yet, subscribe to our YouTube channel below. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that.